"What are you doing?" My angry voice startled my husband, Nick, who scrambled to hide my sister-in-law, Emily. Emily was also flustered. I knew Nick and Emily were close, but this was unbelievable. I couldn't stay silent after such betrayal. I decided to take revenge on Nick and Emily. My name is Catherine, currently working as an accountant in a big corporation. It's mostly clerical work, but it allows me to spend quality time with my family. Nick is 32 like me and works in sales. Our daughter, Lily, is in the 1st grade, and she's such a good and obedient child. I met Nick at a social gathering through mutual friends. He was very straightforward in his approach, so I relented and we started dating. His kindness and sincerity made me feel safe, and I started considering marriage. He felt the same as well, so we got married after dating for 6 months. This was the peak of my happiness. However, there were some things about Nick that felt odd. When I went to visit my in-laws, Nick mostly spoke with Emily and ignored me. I thought they were just close siblings, but their closeness was abnormal. The decisive event that sparked my disdain occurred on the night of our wedding ceremony. After consuming a lot of alcohol, I was lying in bed feeling incredibly happy when Nick cuddled me. I am so happy. So am I. I decided to marry you the moment I saw you, Catherine. Why is that? Because you resembled my beloved sister. Hearing this, I froze. He didn't seem like he was joking because he was drunk. He was severely infatuated with his sister. Eventually, I closed my eyes to Nick's weird affection towards his sister and continued living as a married couple. However, it still irritated me at times. He prioritizes his sister over me and even over our daughter, Lily. Lily hasn't noticed this about Nick yet, but I believe she eventually will. And when that happens, I'm worried about her getting hurt. One day, unusually, Nick came home drunk. He had said he was staying at his parents' house that night, which made me wonder why he was home. I put him to sleep on the couch and gave him some water. After drinking the water in one go, he told me what had happened at his parents' house. Emily's getting married. Really? Yeah, she was dating someone behind my back. Saying this, he lay back down on the sofa like he was defeated. This was good news for me. Now he would focus on our family. I threw a fist pump without him noticing. Emily is 2 years older than me. It wasn't surprising that she would get married, and now she was finally going to. But it seemed Nick was more shocked by the fact that Emily kept it a secret. Even when we had a dinner with Emily and her fiancé, Nick was sulking the whole time and just ate his meal. He didn't even look at Emily. After that, he stopped visiting his parents' house. Thanks to this, he started spending time with me and Lily. Lily seemed genuinely happy to be able to play with Nick. I watched them with a sense of relief. Then the season turned to summer, and Lily had her first summer vacation. At dinner one night, Nick suddenly suggested going to his parents' house for Independence Day. Mom wants us to come home. What do you think? He used to take us home before he was even invited, but now he sounded reluctant. I could really tell that Nick had changed. Why not? Lily would love to see her grandparents. Well, they want us to stay for about 3 nights, but 1 night is enough, right? As long as you're okay with it, that's fine. So we decided to visit Nick's parents for just 1 day. Lily was very happy about this visit. Nick's parents live a bit far in a place rich in nature. Here, Lily can run around to her heart's content. Lily loves physical activities, so the countryside might suit her well. We packed our bags and headed for Nick's parents' house, which was about an hour and a half away. When Lily and I arrived at the house, Nick's parents greeted us. "Oh, thank you for coming today. You must be tired. I've prepared some tea. Please have some." As we headed into the living room, there was Emily. "Catherine, long time no see." "Long time no see, Emily." As I greeted her, Nick just sat down without saying a word to Emily. It seemed their relationship had really soured. I didn't plan to say anything about it. Then we all, including Lily, had some snacks and tea while chatting. As the conversation between grown-ups continued, Lily, perhaps bored, expressed her desire to play outside. When I was about to accompany her, Emily intervened. "Let me play with you, Lily." Lily nodded energetically and went outside with Emily. Then the pleasant mood changed abruptly. Nick's father started with a serious look. "Catherine, Nick is the eldest son of our family." I instantly understood what he was trying to say. After all, it's meaningless to have him married if we don't have a grandson. Nick's family valued and honored their old lineage and their family history. When New Year's comes around, a decent number of people gather to exchange New Year's greetings. Such old customs still remain. Perhaps that's why Nick's father's mindset is stuck in the 80s. I understand, but children are gifts from above. We can't choose whether they're boys or girls. If it seems unlikely, I think we should consider having Nick remarry. What is this, some old-fashioned mindset? Do I have to get divorced because I can't bear a son? I couldn't believe that Nick's father was suggesting such outrageous ideas with no hesitation. I looked at Nick. Nick, the one in question, was just playing with his phone as if he had nothing to do with the situation. "Hey, why don't you help me out of this situation?" I wanted to hurl such words at Nick, but running away from such troublesome matters was a usual thing for Nick to do. Holding back my anger at Nick, I answered Nick's father. "Is that what Nick said?" Nick's father looked at Nick, but there was no reaction. "I want you to consider that as an option." That sounds like a threat. "We asked you to stay for about 3 days today, but you decided to stay only 1 day. Do you dislike this house so much?" I looked at my husband again. It was Nick's idea to stay only 1 night, but there was no correction from Nick. "That's not true. We discussed this as a family. Do you think Nick is tired of you because of that?" When did Nick ever get tired of me? I wanted to ask, but I decided not to because it was troublesome. After the depressing discussion, I went to see Lily outside. Outside, Lily was happily playing with Emily. "You had a tough time, didn't you? Dad must have said a lot." "Yes, indeed he did." "I'm really sorry. He really is hard-headed with an old-fashioned mindset." "Yes, it seems like it." "Is Nick in his room?" Emily asked timidly. "He might be. I'm not sure. Are you two not getting along well right now? It's my fault for not telling him about my marriage. Why didn't you tell him?" Emily paused to think for a moment before quietly muttering, "Because it would make Nick sad." I found Emily's words hard to believe. I couldn't help but sense an unusual discomfort, different from just being close siblings. "I'm going to head back home now." "Oh, okay. Thank you for everything with Lily." Emily said goodbye to Lily and disappeared into the house. I regained my composure and played with Lily. When Lily expressed her desire to go into the woods, I decided to take her. I wanted to be away from my in-laws for a while. I walked hand in hand with Lily, the words of my in-laws echoing in my mind. I wondered if I would have to deal with them in the future. My husband has always had a habit of avoiding trouble. That's why he was fiddling with his phone, even as I was verbally abused by my father-in-law. He wouldn't stand up for me. As I thought this, tears welled up in my eyes. I wiped them with my hand, careful not to let Lily notice. In doing so, I unintentionally loosened my grip on Lily's hand. Lily wriggled out of my hand and started to run. "Lily, no running!" She ignored my call and continued to run deeper into the woods. When I ran after her, she must have misunderstood it as a game of tag and ran even further away. "Watch out!" I spotted a large rock in Lily's path and called out to her. But Lily didn't notice and tripped over the stone, falling down. By the time I reached her, my usually resilient daughter was crying loudly. Feeling that something had happened, I checked her leg. A copious amount of blood was flowing from Lily's right leg. At a loss for words at the sudden situation, I realized my phone was back at the in-laws' house. I quickly composed myself, hoisted Lily onto my back, and made our way down the mountain. Once back at the entrance, I laid Lily down and called for an ambulance with my phone from my bag. In the meantime, I attempted to disinfect the wound, but couldn't locate where the disinfectant was stored in the in-laws' house. Deciding to ask my husband, I raced towards his room. As I flung open the door to his room, an unbelievable sight met my eyes. My husband was lying on his bed. Next to him, a naked woman. Unbelievably, it was Emily, my sister-in-law. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted instinctively. Startled by my voice, my husband sprang up and hastily tried to cover Emily. Their actions told me all I needed to know, and my mind went blank with panic and anger. What's going on?" Emily was more flustered than my husband. Both of them were scrambling for words to explain, but their words were meaningless to me as my blood boiled in fury. Not only was my husband not on my side, but he was also engaging in such a treacherous act. My feelings for my husband rapidly faded. "Lily is hurt, so I'm taking her to the hospital in an ambulance. You just stay here and have a good time with your sister." With that, I forcefully shut the door behind me. I carried my bags and got into the ambulance. My husband had cheated on me, and his partner was none other than Emily. I always felt that they were really close, but this? I began to slowly accept what I had witnessed. While processing all of this, I started to think of my next move. After reaching the hospital, Lily, who had seemingly cried herself out, was peacefully asleep. The doctor informed me that a few stitches would heal her wound quickly. There was no need for her to be hospitalized. I sighed with relief. I gently stroked the head of my sleeping Lily. For me, the only thing that mattered now was Lily. I wanted to do only what was best for Lily. For that, I had to sever ties with my in-laws, including my husband. On top of that, I wanted to get back at Emily. With Lily's foot bandaged, we headed home. I had no intention of ever returning to my in-laws' house. The events at their house were hellish. I filled out the divorce papers. I informed my parents about the situation and conveyed my intention to get a divorce. My parents supported my decision. With their support, I was now determined to proceed with my plan. The next early morning, my parents arrived at our home by an express train. I left Lily in their care and headed back to my in-laws' house. My in-laws greeted me with a look of annoyance. "All this trouble because you couldn't keep an eye on your own daughter. Our summer holiday is ruined because of you." I ignored their griping and headed towards the living room. My husband and Emily sat there, faces downcast. I placed the divorce papers on the table. "We're getting a divorce." The ones taken by surprise were my in-laws. Neither my husband nor Emily reacted. "Why are we hearing about the divorce from you? It's out of the blue." "It was us who said we'd divorce if you couldn't bear a son. Please sign here and affix your seal." Fine. "Nick, just sign it already." However, my husband didn't budge. "Nick, what are you doing? From now on, we will involve lawyers and I'll be demanding alimony." "Why should you get alimony? You're the cause of the divorce." My mother-in-law's face turned red with anger. However, I calmly denied her accusation. "No, the reason for the divorce is my husband's infidelity." At this, my in-laws turned to look at my husband. He remained silent, neither denying nor confirming. That was the best evidence that what I was saying was true. Just a little cheating by a man? What kind of wife are you if you can't even be a bit forgiving? I think there's also a reason that he was led to cheat. Such absurd arguments were nothing more than a poor loser's excuse. I informed my in-laws about what I had witnessed. "My husband's mistress is your beloved daughter, Emily." Upon pointing at Emily, my in-laws froze. When I returned home yesterday, the two of them were sleeping naked in bed. Even the memory of it sent shivers down my spine. Neither Emily nor my husband said anything in response to my accusation. Even my usually boisterous in-laws wore somber expressions. "Is this true?" My father-in-law finally broke his silence. However, neither of them responded. "Answer me!" At my father-in-law's angry voice, my husband timidly responded, "It's true." His voice was barely audible. My mother-in-law clasped her head in disbelief. "All right then, we'll discuss the details of our alimony and others through our lawyers." I stood up. I didn't want to spend another second in this house. "Wait a minute." My father-in-law stopped me with his voice. "We would like to keep this matter private, please. I'm not planning to spread this around to everyone. I'd like you not to mention it to your lawyer either. That's impossible. We have to set visitation rights, child support, and alimony. Without involving lawyers, it will just lead to disputes. We'll comply with all your demands. We'll pay all the alimony and child support, so please don't further expose our family's shame." With that, my father-in-law prostrated himself. Beside him, my mother-in-law also bowed her head. I was amazed by my in-laws, who were trying so hard to save face. "I understand. I'll only deal directly with my husband then. Is that all right?" "Yes, thank you." I headed straight for the front door. As I was putting on my shoes at the door, Emily ran up to me. "Now that you've secured a big payoff, you have no complaints, right?" I had no idea what Emily was talking about. "Nick used to complain about you to me, saying you were arrogant despite not earning much. He called you a parasite. Apparently, she couldn't stand being at the losing end and came to say a nasty thing or two." I decided to tell Emily the truth. "Nick seems to really like you." What? "He probably wants to look good in front of you, even if it means lying." "Lies? What lies?" "At least most of our household expenses are covered by my earnings. My husband does work, but he's only a temporary worker." "What do you mean?" "He got fired from his previous company, and now he's working as a temp. Well, he should be able to live on his own even if he divorced me." Emily looked genuinely surprised, apparently not knowing any of this. "I'll make sure you pay for your sins too." As I said this, I heard a car stop in front of the house. "You remember we once had dinner with your fiancé, right? We made a group chat back then. So I've already informed your fiancé about this situation." As soon as I finished talking, Emily's fiancé, looking like he had seen a ghost, entered the house, out of breath. The fiancé looked between Emily and me, then turned to me. "Is what you said true?" "Of course, she just admitted it." Upon realizing her fiancé was there, Emily started to tremble and collapsed to her knees. "What the hell is going on? You better explain." With the sound of the fiancé's angry voice behind me, I left my in-laws' house. I knew I would never return there again. After that, my husband and I got divorced. The alimony and child support were all settled to my satisfaction. This means I won't have to worry about money for a while. I also made sure to inform my husband's temp agency about our divorce and the reasons for it. As expected, his contract was terminated, and now he seems to be working part-time while living in an apartment. Emily's engagement was called off, and now she's living at my in-laws' house. Initially, they planned to kick her out, but decided to keep her there to ensure she and my husband never meet again. Thanks to my husband's leave, I was able to get rid of his bad debt and am now able to enjoy a relaxed and peaceful life with Lily in our apartment as before.